everybody. Welcome back to the Grit and Gratitude podcast. I know it's been a week since we've filmed one of these. We're going to get better, try to pump out 2 a week, get some more content, and if we get a few people that would like to comment in our comment section and give us some topics that maybe they would like to hear or things that we've talked about that they would like to hear more on, definitely would appreciate it, and we're open to ideas. But I think what we want to talk about today is workplace culture. Workplace culture, the environments that we want to build as business owners, as employees, and what we want to see out of the future, and the kind of people that we want to surround ourselves with and work with, and be a part of. So there's a lot to unpack. We could talk for hours about it, but I think some of the key things we probably want to hit on would be how we started and how I had a vision of culture, because I didn't really understand what culture meant, because it was never anything that was taught to me at being a business owner. But culture can really relate to being a friend. It can relate to pretty much anything. And that's kind of what we try to make everything fit around, is we want everybody to be able to relate to what we're talking about. So hope that everybody can kind of relate when we start talking about workplace culture, life culture, the people you surround yourself with, because that is going to be who you become. So kind of start with you, Nick, and tell me how you feel about
to break
workplace.
the ice. Yeah, the biggest thing with me is that like camaraderie, going off of the last week's podcast, is that a big thing, value to me is camaraderie. And having camaraderie within a workplace, I think, obviously helps the workplace culture flourish, because everybody's working together as a team, and no one's looking at themselves as just an individual. At the end of the day, yes, you do have individual goals for yourself, where you want to take your family or yourself as a human being, but understanding that while you're at work, it's more of a team effort instead of an individual effort to be able to get the job done. It's kind of mission critical, and being able to have that camaraderie is something that I take value to as far as a workplace culture goes, because some people chase the dollar amount. I mean, we talk about that stuff all the time, the three of us, is that people chase that dollar amount, and I want to get paid, $100 an hour, or hypothetically speaking, $40 an hour. Well, I rather enjoy coming to work and be able to tell people that I don't work. I just come, essentially hang out with friends. We get a lot of work done, but I come here, I hang out with everybody. We have a job to do. We get the job done, but it's more of a family-oriented environment and more of a great workplace culture that helps me thrive and sees success in the future, I guess that's the best way to put it.
Well, I mean, you have in the military background that you have, like, that brings a whole different level of camaraderie and culture, because that's what the military is based around. Yep. So where Kendrick, I think most of the jobs that you've had, and places you've worked have been corporate, where now I think corporate shifting to where culture is number one, but probably when you were working corporate, culture didn't matter. It was come here, do your job, here's your task, go home. Yeah. And we've learned that purpose and having being respected, feeling respected by your peers, by your business owner, by the company you work for, like, that goes a long way. Right. Regardless of pay or things that company does or doesn't do for you, it just goes a long way to feel, respected. In the military, you're taught, obviously, you got to give it to get it, right? Yeah. If you're a turd and you treat everybody like shit, what's going to happen? Yeah. You're going to get treated like shit by everybody, because you're going to build camaraderie and you're going to build, that core culture and that group of guys and gals that, hey, we all are here for the same mission. Yeah. And corporate the mission is simple: do your job, shut up, go home. Yeah. So
this quota.
Yeah. Here's your spreadsheet of what we need you to hit. Here's your percentages, and if you don't, but when you start to develop kind of a system, and you want to have a culture, let's kind of talk about, I really want to talk about how hard it is. how hard it is to genuinely have a good culture and understand what that means, and to have core values where you don't budge. Because you both know that I've had to learn that lesson the hard way, that I budged. And
I just think, like, you bring people in when it comes to, creating a culture. You bring people in. I don't think they're used. That's the hardest thing, is that they're not used to having a company that has a culture that is 99.9% of the time positive. And we're not expecting, we here don't expect, everybody to come in, chipper and with all get out. But when we brought some guys in, they weren't used to, they just didn't understand on how everybody was working as a team, how there was cohesion going on compared to the other companies they've been through. And that's when you got to try to get those guys to buy in, because then if they don't buy in, they just end up
ruining it.
Right. And that's tough, because
bring it down.
Buying in is tough, because it's one of those things you're never taught. You weren't taught that.
Right.
When you work for somebody or build a friendship, you don't buy into that. You're like, if it doesn't fit me and what I have in this moment in life or at this specific time, then what do? I just screw it and go find something new.
Yep.
Where, you want to build something, and you want to build that into people. And when you have people that come from, let's say, 10 years in the workforce, or poor friendships,
Yep.
Where they genuinely don't understand. And when you start holding them to a higher level, like you said, getting them to buy in, that's hard when you start holding them to the level in which they're capable of, right? And you've seen it with me so many times where my expectation, I have expectation for everybody, because I know what people are capable of. I could know you for 2 days, and I know that, man, this person's capable of X, Y, and Z. The lesson learned, though, is what? Not everybody wants those things. Not everybody wants to have those same goals. But if you want to fit a culture in where you're at, you can't give on that. And that's a lesson learned that I've had, I'm still learning, and that we've all had to learn in the last 2 years. And that's a tough pill to swallow when you invest yourself and stuff into people, and this culture of where, accountability and doing the right thing, and always, even when it sucks, and having to make those hard calls when you look dumb or bad, or, how do you, I always question, how do you continue to get people to buy in when they don't buy in on themselves?
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. I kind of want to start with Kendrick on this one, because I was just sitting here as I was looking at you and letting you talk about it, is that Kendrick knew about I guess the best way to put it is your workplace culture, what we were building here at this company before I was even like a twinkle in the company's eyes. Kendrick knew you before he knew me, and it's kind of one of those things which what sold you on Wade and
working
the
here?
Foundation. Yeah, and the foundation of the company, and coming here, and kind of what did you see? I just want to see if you have the same thoughts as me on what made you essentially pull the trigger on that.
Well, to be honest with you, I believe that workplace culture starts at the top. And when I met Wade, dude's a fireball, man. And I've been saying it. And I believed in what he was trying to do way before, I think, even you.
Even before I did. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I saw what you guys were doing. I saw that you guys didn't take shortcuts, and you would go through everything, fall on your face, essentially, just to make sure that you guys didn't do it again. So having you be as compassionate, I've said it a million times, you're very compassionate about this stuff, and it sometimes it's crazy, and it's like, man, dude, this guy, he just really cares. So you're not a typical owner, you know what I mean? So, like, it'd be different if, like, Joe Schmo owned the company, and then he's sitting down behind a desk. You're actually out in the field, man. You're out in the shop doing stuff. You're out in the field. You're coming up with new ideas. So to see that drive coming from you, and you not being lazy or complacent, I mean, I think that's what drives me. And I come to work every day, and it's like Nick said, dude, it's like I'm not even working.
But even that, like, we all have our days, obviously, where, like you said, not everybody's gonna be smiling and happy,
right?
And like you guys are getting to see me go through these changes and these phases in business of being really small, and now we're kind of medium big and got all these other things going on and different stressors, and you get to see me in a completely different light, where it used to be coming in like a fireball, and there'd be, when Nick first started here, I'd come in here and be Warpath Wade, man, I'll light you up for anything. And it wasn't just like
I loved it.
And it wasn't just a like, hey, it was a, like, I'm up in your face. Like, if you didn't believe in the culture and how I wanted things done, the superior doorway, your attitude. I want good attitudes. I want good employees. I don't want bodies in trucks and people just bodies. That's not what I want. Right. And that comes at a cost, man, because you start to really, when you believe it, you really, really, really start to see who is going to do it or will do it.
Yep. But
it can be very, can be exhausting too, because you believe in people and you think they believe in your vision and they bought in, right? Mm-hmm. But in reality, it's just kind of like a smoke and mirrors, right. And then things start to slip. Their attendance slips, and then their quality of work slips, and then it's like you got to find that happy medium of, do I light them up like a Christmas tree, or do I give them a stern talking to?
Right.
Well, it used to be, I'm just about to rip your throat out, and you're going to probably be mad at me for a week, and you're either going to learn from it, or I'm going to do it again next week.
Right.
And I think the valuable lesson I learned in that with culture is that there's a fine line. Mm-hmm. You got to be able to do both. You got to be able to
massage the beast.
Well, we used to always say mommy and daddy, right?
Yep.
But that's not really how it has to be. It has to be a level of respect between one another and between peers and employees and owner, where I didn't understand that. I always I want to be a great leader, mm-hmm. but I'm learning that requires me to be a boss. I have to give people a boundary. And I want to ask both of you, because it's something that I still think about and struggle with every day, is that boundary of drawing, boss, leader, friend, employee, because I'm an employee to my companies,
You're my employee.
Exactly. that shift of trying to hug that line, where before it was polar, man. It was either all or nothing. Like, you either did it the way we wanted to do it, and I came at you crazy, and then I switched, and I'm like, now I'm just going to give and let guys get away with a little bit of half-ass work and some poor attitudes, and we saw what that yielded. And now it's like trying to find that happy medium. How do you guys feel, when it comes to that, like drawing that happy medium line between even with you guys, with our guys, and having to draw that line in management too, where you're still giving the same respect and culture that we want, but understanding that you can't get away with murder, essentially.
Right.
Because I think that's where a lot of people get it wrong.
Yeah. So I'll go first on that. Is the biggest word that you brought up so far this whole time is respect. And respect me as a boss. I respect you as a boss. You and I have respect for each other. You and I also have a very unique connection, because not many people can work for their best friends.
Right.
Because people don't see what happens behind closed doors at all.
No.
And everybody just thinks you and I are best friends. We're just sitting here smoking and joking all day. That's not the case. But it's one of those things with the guys to where it's like, they have to respect me as a boss. I respect them as an employee. Now, I take it as a form of disrespect if they don't do the job I told them to do the way that I told them to do it. And then at that aspect, I think it is disrespectful. So in return, my automatic response is, well, I have the right to be disrespectful to you as well. The biggest thing with that is if I do think there's a fine line with asking too much or expecting too much, but then at the same time, there's absolutely nothing wrong with holding guys accountable, I guess is the best answer to that, is that we can give some leniency, but always it's Mother Nature. You give them a foot, they take a mile.
Yeah, it's human, man.
Yeah,
I mean, we're all part of that.
Nature, not Mother Nature, but yeah, and I truly believe that, to where it's one of those things. Absolutely, there's going to be a guy that was fighting with his old lady or having some personal issues, that at least he showed up to work, because he might not have showed up to work that day or the day after, what the case is, but at least he showed up. Yep, he did, half-assed job. But that's when you reel him back in and kind of bring him back to reality and realize, hey, dude, maybe some things are falling apart. this is where your foundation's at, though.
Yep.
We all have your back here, and that comes back to the workplace culture, the camaraderie, the good leadership we have around here is that we have your back here. So come here, perform, and we'll help you however need.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think that's something, you know, that you guys see struggles with. We all three struggle with it too some days in what we're doing, because, you know, you give somebody an inch, they take a mile. Absolutely. And that's been my whole adult life in a way, you know, is giving people an inch and they take a mile. And that's something that, you know, just you get used to it, but it's not a good feeling. And then when you get to the point where you're like, well, shit, man, I'm giving and giving, dude, and everybody else is taking. But then the dichotomy to that is they don't know they're doing anything wrong. That's a lesson that I'm learning, because it's not, their intent wasn't like to take advantage of me or the business. I just gave and gave even when I should have stopped giving, right, and made them learn a lesson, or, hey, I can't do that. Hey, I can't do this for you. There would have been no why. It just would have been. But that learning lesson is for all of us, I think, and for everybody listening, is you got to draw a boundary somewhere, because if you don't, you're doing people a disservice.
100%.
Right? So it's almost, let's say you have a horrible employee, right? And you keep him on board. Why? Well, because you feel bad because maybe he's going through a tough time at home or whatever, but then it drags on for months, weeks, years, that sometimes. And next thing you know, now your culture's just shit. Well, not only did you ruin your culture, but you ruined him. You did him a disservice, because if you would have made the call and let him go to move to the next job and the next job, then he's probably, or she's going to look and be like, man, why? What am I doing wrong? Well, what you're doing wrong is you're not doing the things that need to be done, and then you don't learn any lessons. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken away, even bringing you guys on and having what we have, is like, I have to hold people accountable. And when I want to save everybody and help everybody do everything, all I'm doing is essentially enabling people to not have to figure things out.
Take advantage of the system.
And then like the bad guy whenever you do
exactly.
Draw that line.
And that's what we saw in the last 2-3 years of learning, is that I was like, well, I'm not doing this no more. And then what happens? Guys are mad. Well, I'm drawing a boundary. I have to. This is the thing I have to do as a business owner and as a leader and as a friend and everything else. And then, like you said, then you're the bad guy. Yeah. Well, because they didn't know any different. Mm-hmm. I mean, some do, but the majority don't, because they're like, what did I do wrong? Well,
I've been doing it this way for the last 3 months. And
right.
All of a sudden it's a problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like rewarding your dog for bad behavior. So you know, he barks and then you smack him in the head and then you feel bad and you give him a treat. Right. Well, now what's he going to do? He's going to bark. He knows he's going to get smacked in the head, and then you're going to give him a treat. And he's always going to just flinch at you, and he doesn't know any different. So, you know, there's that fine line, man. And it's really tough when you want to run a business and, you know, your company with core values and integrity and culture because of that, you know.
What's your take on it, Kenny?
I mean, you nailed it on the head, to be honest with you. You know, the guys respecting and doing what they're supposed to do, and if you tell them to do something, them getting it done, that's...
Well, let's circle around for you to the wholesale side of things. You know, when it comes to your customers and selling to them, you know, let's kind of bring that in, because they're like employees in a way. I mean, they're customers. You're selling to them. They're asking things of you, but there's certain things that you can and cannot do, or that you should or shouldn't do. You know,
like become a service rep, if you will, for companies.
Right.
Like, oh, well, what opener do you need, or what door?
Right. When you know, it's like, hey, you're the professional, and then what happens? And then they get all spun up, and they're like, well, and you're like, well, hold on here, I have a job to do, and this is my job.
Well, then you try to be nice and you try to help them, and then you go the extra mile, if you will, to help them, and then they tend to expect that going forward. And then when you're short staffed or whatever, you're extremely busy that day, and you're like, dude, I can't help you, need to figure it out on your own. Then they freak out. Well, he doesn't care about me no more. It's like, no, I mean, I do, but I don't have time to do that today. Sorry, I can't call LiftMaster and sit on the phone for 4 hours waiting on hold.
Right.
You need to do that. That's
right.
part of your job, not mine.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you don't want to say it's not my job, it's yours, but it's like, hey, the reality is you're the professional here. I need you to take the steps that you need to relay the proper things to me, and then I can get you taken care of fast. But I can't do that for you. And like that circles into the culture thing where from management standpoint, everybody, we've all learned with trial and error here and whatnot, if you do everything for everybody, like you said, that expectation's there, right? Every single time. And how hard is it to break that?
Extremely hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hard to break, to break people to do, well, man, I can't do that no more. Well, why not? Well, unfortunately, it was just something that I did in the time because it wasn't getting done, so I just had to handle it. Well, now I have X amount on my plate, so I really need you to understand that as a team, because we're a team here, and we're a team in anything we do, that if you do your part, then I can do my part, and that means I can always get you taken care of.
Right.
But if you don't, then, it's going to be a struggle consistently.
Agreed.
And so it's one of those things where you don't want people to feel like you don't care, that you don't want to help, but you do have to kind of throw them into the deep end and be like, hey,
absolutely,
you gotta figure it out. I can't just do everything for you all the time. But the culture of a company, then now I think the way the expectation in which people think of teamwork is not the same as it was 20 years ago.
Right.
It's I'm here to do this by myself and go home. And like with us, we have created what we have, and we have a long road to go, and a lot more I want to do and we want to do from a business and a culture standpoint and employees and all that. But I think that we've gotten a very good foundation and start to those things, and they're not always perfect. Right. Let's talk about how, you got to reel guys back in people sometimes, even though they fit the culture, really well. There's times where you got to reel them back in because they test those waters a little bit too much.
They get too comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I also want to bring it up because sometimes it can look bad. Sometimes it can look good. I mean, it just depends on how you look at it as far as not just worrying about reeling guys in, but turnover. I mean, turnover as well. Because if you have a guy that, doing interviews and whatnot, anybody can make a great interview. It's not hard. But then when they bring them in and they start settling in, not even getting comfortable, but just settling in and not being so nervous when they get to work, you could see them fall off the wagon pretty hard. And then, that's when, leadership has to make a call as far as, well, this guy's going to make the cut or not. Is this guy worth our time to try to put time into him to, fine tune him around the edges? Or is it just someone where, unfortunately, dude, hey, you're not making the cut, or you have other people that you do work with reach out to you and say, hey, this guy's just not a fit for what you guys are building. We know what you guys are building and it's not a fit. Well, then you fire that guy and then you hire another guy, and then another guy comes in, same story. Or you hire two guys. And then, so does that look, I'm just asking, does that look from the outside, does it look bad? Or we're just trying to find the right guys. That's all we're trying to do. But then having the right guys apply.
And that's where I think right now in the workforce, it's tough because you guys know I'm a firm believer of we don't buy guys,
right.
We build them. Mm-hmm. When you hire somebody, you're technically buying them. I want to build them. I want us to build them. I want to build them around the values that we have and around the quality of work we do and how we carry ourselves. What you just said, people that we do work with, knowing what we're about and what we're building and have been building here, and not just for 2 years, but for years, people know how we operate. Yeah. Like that speaks volumes, right. And like, that's like, okay, cool. They know what we're about and we know what we're about. So I don't think for them that they look at it as, man, turnover. Now, if it for me and you and Kendrick, yeah, I'm like, dang, man, like, wow. Yeah. Geez, dude, I've kissed freaking 10 frogs, man. Can I get a prince, dude? Like, please, just one.
Yeah.
And it's tough because for me, you guys will attest to this, that I can find the good in anybody. It don't matter who you are. You can come walking through that door looking homeless. I'm gonna find the good in you.
Dangerous quality to have.
Very, very, because I value people very much. I do, and a lot of times I value people too much, because I'm willing to stay in a relationship, business,
right, employee,
you name, way, way, way too long. I got commitment issues, man. I'll make them right to you. I can't break them. And that's a huge thing. And that's a hard pill to swallow now as we've grown, because it's got to be, all right, whether it's employee, customer, friend, whoever, all right, I got to make sure that they fit or don't fit, and I got to turn it and burn it, because if I don't, it's going to affect everything. It's going to affect everything here. It's going to affect everything there. And that turnover is tough, because I don't think a lot of businesses care about turnover, especially service businesses. I would say like retail and stuff does, and whatnot, where you're doing a lot of, like, we're face to face with customers every day, but like, we're not selling freaking Louis bags, man, and tennis shoes, So like, it's a different type of customer service, where it's like, it's a body, where we don't look at it like that. So I don't think a lot of service businesses care. I mean, we not only do we have competitors, but there's other trades out there that when we're at gas stations and things like that, I'm like, I would never ever hire somebody like that. And I don't want to judge a book by its cover, but when you're in a service-based business, they need to be professional. They need to be clean cut. They need to make sure that they hold themselves well, and that they can have a conversation with customers or a contractor without, it being more of like a, just a
eerie feeling.
Well, not eerie feeling, but also just kind of like, don't give a shit, just cussing all the time. And, no, because too much, I've seen that, and we've seen that. You get a bad egg on a job site that has a really just horrible attitude against anybody. Frickin' electricians in my way, frickin' plumbers.
Then they hurt someone.
And then they hurt somebody.
Site,
And then it's like, well, it was their fault. And no, it was whoever that guy's being. And there's a lot of them out there.
Right.
Where I think if companies would hold accountability a little bit more, and I know you get to a point probably, people that do listen that may or may not have larger companies than me, are probably like, you'll understand later. But if you don't hold that line of the quality, you're never going to have a good culture. I mean, I could talk about this for 2 days straight, but my belief, and I think you guys are bought into it, is we are accountability is number one. Period.
Accountability,
teamwork, integrity. And we consistently, those three things we have to work on every day, every single day. And anybody that works for us has to.
Right.
Because if you don't, then you won't fit in here. Because it's not something, we don't just want people coming and going. I think more business owners need to take the time now with I can't find guys to work. Then you got to pull the throttle back a little bit. It's okay. Let's regroup. Let's think about what we really want.
We did that.
Exactly. We pulled the throttle back. We were running gunning, man, and
because that was right when I started.
Yeah, we were running gunning, right? And then we were like, dude, all right, let's step back. That doesn't feel good, but I'm like, well, we all agreed that we need the culture that we know we can have. Yeah. And that means we need to refine what we do here and make it very clear that this is the expectation. And if you don't fit that, then you got to go. And it's that simple, and I don't think that's a big ask. And it's not even an ask. It's like you said, man, I think the guys we got here, the group of guys we have, given not all of them have the most experience, but from an attitude standpoint and from a care, I've never had a group in a team as loyal as I can count on all of them every day.
Yep.
I mean, it's a rare if someone calls in, and if they do, it's usually they needed it or something happened. Like, I've never had that, because the culture that I thought I was building, I thought I knew, I was letting that slip, man. We all were, because I didn't know any better, and I thought I was doing the right thing by, you know what, just let them.
Well, letting the employees dictate the schedule more than you do.
It dictate your business.
Yeah.
We were allowing that. I did, not you, but I directly would, like, man, it is what it is. Let them off at noon, because if we don't, they're going to be pissed off. And it's like, well, no, we can't do that, because then when we're busy and we're like, hey, we need to get this done, they're like, well, you didn't make me 2 weeks ago. Because that, how many times did we run into that?
Exactly.
And that is a really quick, surefire way to just ruin everything that you're building, And so I don't know. That's a tough battle every day, to make sure that you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's on your culture with your people.
Yeah. I mean, that's one I've been out dealing with more homeowners and, whatnot more recently because of the unfortunate events that have taken place around here. And that's kind of the running stigma that's out there is I'm not going to say it's an excuse, because it's not, because we understand. But the biggest thing I'm hearing out there right now is that it's just hard to find that good help.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're hiring right now. And I mean, I had 3 interviews. One didn't show up. The other one just isn't going to be a good fit. And fortunately, but unfortunately, I mean, we got one that hopefully is going to work out and long term, but it's one of those things to where it's like, I've had a lot of applications, but you got people not showing up to interviews. You got people, not returning. Hey, I've seen, your resume came across my desk, this, that, the other. Would you like to sit down and talk about the position more? And then you just don't get a response from them. But then bringing these guys in and going through a thorough interview process to see if they fit that culture. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that do struggle to find that good help. And I mean, maybe they're trying to build a good culture, or they're just looking for a body, but that's a going issue too.
No, I definitely, I agree with that. That I don't like to use the term that it's hard to find good help.
Right.
It is hard to find good help because you can't find it. You have to make it.
Yep.
You have to build it. So people are like, find good help. No, what you got to find is quality employees that genuinely are really looking to find and fit in a team and a culture that embodies a little bit of everybody. You
want to find someone with a good attitude and create a worker out of them.
Yeah.
You don't want to find a worker with a bad attitude.
Yeah. Because you can't unlearn that.
Exactly.
You can't unlearn those habits of, just coming in because maybe you go home every night and drink 3 beers and then you're hungover every morning because you had your 3 beers and went to bed, or you just, your circumstances at home aren't the best. No matter what, people, there's tons of people out there like that. You can't fix that. Like, you can't undo that. So you have to create it and build it, and from the ground up. And I think the hardest part to do that with now is the workforce age is so much different now than it was even a year ago. In any trade, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, where was I at the other day? I was somewhere and I just got something to eat, and I'm looking around and I'm like, everybody in here is like 40 or 50, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, these people should have quality jobs, not saying that you can't go work at, a Chipotle or whatever, but like, those jobs were created for young people to just learn and understand a workplace and maybe learn some team building skills and like customer service. But the reality is like, that's where they're at, because well, who knows? It could be for a million things. It could be maybe they worked somewhere for 20 years and got laid off, or worked at a shitty company that didn't care about them, or whatever. But then now the younger generation, which I'm not picking on anybody's age, but if I could throw an age range in there, I'm going to tell you from 16 to 25, there's a lot of freaking entitlement there.
Oh, yeah.
Where, you've done nothing. Mm-hmm. You haven't learned nothing. What skills do you have? Well, I don't know. Why are you worth $30 an hour then?
Right.
Well, because that's how much it costs. No, it doesn't. Like, that doesn't work like that. And that's where it's weird to see that older generation working those jobs, all because of entitlement. They think, or I'm owed something. You're not owed something. Like, there's no company in this world that you're ever going to work for, and if you have that attitude, that will ever invest anything in you.
Right.
Like, I had to have this conversation with my son. Like, great, he's a hard worker. Problem is, he's young and doesn't get it. I want to work with my hands. You're 16. You know nothing. So you need to start wherever you can, learn that skill and learn it to the best of your abilities, and then move to the next skill and the next skill. That's what you need to do. And it's funny because that entitlement, I see that in him. Like, do you see that in your daughter at her age?
Oh, definitely.
Like, where it what sucks is it is partially a parent's fault, but like, it's a lot of society, man. Like, but if you do this, you're supposed to get that. Hell no. Inputs, outputs. Life simple. You get what you put in. And maybe in these younger years, you think that's how it's going to be. But when mommy and daddy or grandma and grandpa or whoever can't take care of you no more, or let's say something happens, they pass away and you're on your own and you haven't had to learn any life skills or anything because you were entitled to it. I mean, you got parents going to interviews with 20-something-year-old kids. Like, that's a real thing, dude.
No.
Well, it was funny because my daughter, I told her she had to get a job, so she fills out an application, and it had a box on the application, and it said, "Are you available to work holidays and weekends?" And she goes, "Nope." I said, "Dude, you're gonna work any damn shift you can get."
Yeah.
And she goes, "I don't want to work weekends. I'm not working a holiday." I said, "What? They're not going to be open on Christmas."
Yeah.
So you got to work during the 4th of July, and it's, "Oh, I didn't know that." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Well, they didn't call me back. Well, no.
They're not going to call you back.
Yeah. I mean, you're a kid, dude. You're going to work the shifts no one else wants to work. I mean, you're going to have to go through the trenches, and brings to the entitlement. You know, I've seen people, and they're, well, I don't want to work weekends. I don't want to work night shift. Man, I was working 2 jobs, overnights, day shift, you know, for 10, 15 years before, you know, I got this job. That's
Right.
why I like this job so much. And, you know, coming here with the workplace culture that we have, like Nick said, you know, it's not really working. And half the time, I don't even know what day of the week it is. I know it sounds stupid, but
I don't even know what time it is most days, and then everybody's like, "Hey, we got to go," and I'm like, "No, I got to finish this," because I don't know what time it is, and I don't think people genuinely believe that exists. I'm serious. I know a lot of people. I know business owners and everything. I know a lot of business owners, and I know a lot of employees, and like, I have people that watch our podcast that, you know, like, "Man, I love what you guys are doing. Like, Wade, you know, you guys have built such a good culture." And like, I don't think they genuinely believe that you can do that. It exists. It really does. Like, I think there's more people and business owners out there than you think that want to build these cultures. It's just really, really hard. And I think people get burnt out on it. Like, if you invest in 2 or 3 companies till you get to the right one, you're just like, "Man, it's never going to happen." So at that point, you're like burnt out. But it's like, you don't get burnt out. Like, you're going to kiss a lot of frogs before you find a prince.
Right.
You know, that's just how it's going to work, because there's value in that. There's always going to be good that comes from the bad. So you've always learned lessons. So you don't want to give up on that, because we've seen it here where, like, a dude will come and you're like, "Man, he's just had a rough go working for multiple people. Hey, man, that's not how we operate here. This is how we do things, blah, blah, blah. We have expectations." And we've got a couple guys here now that it took time to really get them to see that, you know, and understand that we are different.
Right.
You know, the way we operate is,
Well,
you're valued and respected here if you come here and do what we hired you to do, just like anybody else.
How many guys have left and then reached back out?
A lot.
Exactly.
If not,
In my opinion, think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, to be, and I'm not, I don't say this to be cocky or big headed, but every guy,
Right.
every guy, and every guy of value that has left, I genuinely think that at some level they wish they could come back or be here.
Absolutely. And that's a big one that I've heard, and I know you've heard, and I think, Kendrick, you've heard kind of through the grapevine, is that it's one of those things where it's like, "God, you know, I wish I still worked there," or, you know,
They don't realize how good they got it.
Yeah, I didn't realize how good or how fun it was to work there until, I seen it. And I mean, what's age-old saying? Is that what we say around here? The grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it.
Yeah.
So
The shit's just as deep, though.
It's green whenever you first see it.
What's that?
I said it's green whenever you first see it.
Dude, did you see my backyard? It was not green. But no, seriously.
Look at it now, though. Flowers.
It's flourishing.
Because I watered it. Because I watered it.
Hold on, you planted the seeds and then you watered it.
Of course, dude. I planted 2 seeds as well. My boys. So it's all good.
Jesus.
But no, seriously though, I wanted to go back because this has been on my mind since you guys were talking about the kiddos. That's brought my boys into it. Is that think about this because I was thinking about it as you guys were talking. I have my oldest is 5, your oldest is 16, and your oldest is she 16, 15? 15. Think about how hard you two work as parents. Me as well, but you two. How hard you guys have worked to create. We think of it as entitlement, and I would agree with that. But also, growing up as parents, you want to give your child the best life possible.
Absolutely.
To live. 100%, right?
Yeah.
So you work so hard to provide the best life possible for your kids. But then it becomes an inconvenience when they have to work hard to create the life that they want to live. Think about it like that when it comes to the entitlement.
Well, I told my daughter, I said, you're going to have to figure something out. I said, because the outfits, Lululemon, what's some other ones?
All
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she has name brand clothes. Like
Versace
costs more than my whole entire outfit those days. And
Yeah.
I'm like, your lifestyle is going to have to change. I said, when you move out and you got $1,200.
Literally, dude.
Yeah, a car payment, cell phone. I said, I got to pay my cell phone. It's not free.
Dude, that's funny we're talking about this. Kaysen, last night, literally, he calls me and he's got somebody who wants to buy his truck.
Again?
No, he's got some kid that want to buy it, right? And I was like, dude, what you got to do, big dog? He's like, he's going to give me X amount. And I'm like, I was like, okay. I was like, but I'm telling you right now, if you sell it, you're not going to get anything. You're not going to have nothing as nice as what you have, right? And I'm like, I don't care how much money. It wasn't that much. I mean, not to buy another truck. I go, so you do what you want. It's your truck. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you whatever you get. And then when you go buy something, I'm not fixing it. I'm not paying for parts on it.
Right.
I'm not doing nothing. Why? I know. And then he has no problem working, and we all know that. Yeah. But he's at that point where, like, I want to do this and I want that. Big dog, you got to start working. Then. Like, he has a job. Well, I can't get any more hours. Then if you can't get any more hours, then you need to look for another job that can provide you more hours. Or two, yeah. And I said, and I explained to him, you don't get to, the things that you get to do are the worst jobs, like cleaning toilets, making pizza at Casey's. I don't know, but you're not going to get to do what you want to do. So if you want this new truck, or you sell your truck and you want to save money, or you want to keep your truck and save money, if you don't work and you think that you're just going to go work 3 days a week and you're going to make enough money, you're wrong, big dog. Like, you inputs and outputs is how it comes down to. I'll say that a lot because that is the reality of it. Well, it kind of stuck to him because he texted me last night. He's like, yeah, you're right. I just don't know why I can't work for you. I said, you're not working for me, dude. I said, you ain't gonna, you wouldn't last. I said, you can't. I had to break it down pretty simple. You can't separate dad and boss. And when you're here, look how I am. I'm the boss. Yeah. I'm your boss, and you can't stand it.
And all I can do is poke fun at everybody that's getting yelled at.
Yeah.
Well, imagine if he was
there getting yelled
exactly.
at.
Think about that.
I don't think he'd know what to do. If you started laying into him like I've seen you lay into some of these dudes.
Oh, dude, he'd quit because I can
quit,
because or he'd get fired is literally what I told him. I go, I'd fire you. I would fire you after a week. I said, it's not because you're a bad employee. You're just not good for here because I am your dad.
Right.
And you respect your boss that you work for now, and you respect your previous boss and things like that because they're not your dad. So you got to understand that if you want things and you want to do things and you want to buy things, your lifestyle's got to change. You're going to have to start working for it. And but that entitlement is, it's not, I don't even know if I want to call it entitlement because it's not always entitlement. They don't know any different because we've given them that better life, like you said, Nick. So it's like, well, how come, like, I don't get it. Well, yeah,
Right.
you don't get it because now you are because you're turning into a young adult.
Exactly. You have to start providing for
You're
yourself.
going to
instead
provide
of
for yourself.
providing
You got to go out into the world, because I'm not going to always take care of you. I'm not going to have a 20-year-old kid living in my basement. Not going to happen,
I
people.
hate to break it to you, but you probably will.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude,
no.
World's going.
No, serious question. I don't know if you guys
I'll
know
put him.
this, but
I'll tell him get a tent. Hit Skid Row, big dog.
isn't like the average age of someone that lives with their parents like going up?
It's like 29 or 30.
Yeah, something like that.
That's
what I thought.
legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's crazy.
I mean, I could fact check it.
Yeah.
But
Rates are
I do
going up and
know that it really is, and I agree with you that part of it is inflation and
Absolutely,
it's really
100%.
expensive.
Yeah.
But when you don't have kids, you're not married, man, you better bunk up with a bunch of buddies. That's when you have the best time of your life. Those are the experiences that you get to have. Hey man, remember when there were 6 of us living in this 3-bedroom house? It sucked, but we had fun, right? And learning those experiences. But if you have a expensive taste for things, you're just going to be working, and I think
And not be able to enjoy those
and not be able to enjoy those things.
Yep.
Yeah. So like there's a fine line between it, and I don't know. It's tough. Your question's tough because you want what's best for your kids, but you don't want to enable them so much that literally it's like, well, how come you don't give me? Because we see it every day, all of us.
Yep.
I mean, I hear it. So there's, he's got friends, and then I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm glad that's not my kid because
Absolutely, yep.
I'd wash his mouth out with soap and send him to his room at 16 with a red ass, like guaranteed. Like, no way. And I'm grateful for that, but at the same time, that whole it's tough because you need to earn everything. But if it's like, hey, I'm not giving you nothing. I'm not even going to buy you new shoes unless you earn them. Yeah, draw a line there. Like, you can't have your kid wearing holy ass shoes because you want to teach them a lesson.
On the same token,
Unless
you
they
don't gotta
ruined
buy
them.
J's.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like I see parents
no.
all the time
New
buying their
Balance.
toddlers
Dude.
J's, and it's like, dude.
New Balance.
I'll be honest with you. I can't even remember. I bet I bought in casing like maybe 3 pairs of shoes his whole life. He rocked them things till they were holes in them. I mean,
boy.
even now, look at him.
That boy.
But like that's part of that not giving them everything all the time.
Well, see, and that's what sucks too is, you always want your kids to have a better life than you did, and you try to give them the things that you didn't have, I didn't have a lot growing up. I don't know about you guys, but, so I
grew up in a hobbit hole that was about 700 square foot total. So
yeah.
Give or take.
I was in a trailer, and it was funny because I was telling my daughter the other day, she was saying something about her TV. And I said, dude, you got a 55-inch
in your room?
In your fucking room.
Dude,
I said, I didn't even have a TV mounted until I was 35. When I got my first TV mount.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got a fucking cell phone, you got name brand clothes, you get to go out and do whatever you want to do essentially. And I said, I didn't have any of that. And it's like you take it for granted. And I love her to death. She is in for a big slap
but that's
in the face
the
when
world
she
we
moves
live in,
out.
man. Like the reality, there's always like a gap in generations where like it's a culture shock. Like you're right in the middle, Nick. Like you're like a gray area at your age where like
So is that like a unicorn?
kinda.
Oh, yes.
But like you're in a really weird gray area, and even the way you were raised and your life was a lot different too.
Yeah.
But like this gray area where the younger generation, I would say like just probably you, I'm going to say just you and younger.
Yeah.
And then it skips to like Kendrick and I's age where it's like, okay, cell phones weren't important or big when like we didn't have smartphones right away, right?
You guys didn't have anything.
Didn't have that. So it was, freaking Nokias and whatnot. So
Had the little
we didn't
antenna
know any
worm
different.
game?
But then we start adding in instant gratification. Like it drives me crazy watching people on their phone, including adults, go just sitting there and people call it toxic scrolling. No, it's instant gratification. When you're feeling bad, what do you
Dopamine
do?
hit, bro.
What do you do when you feel bad? I don't care who you are. You don't because you don't have social media. There's days where even when I'm like, man, I might feel aggravated or frustrated. I literally subconsciously just pick my phone up and open it. And I don't know, I might click on Facebook. I might click on Alibaba.
Right.
Just because because it's a real thing. Like you get that hit, and like kids don't understand that instant gratification of like, I need something that makes me feel good. No, you don't. Just
What if it's on the flip side though? Like I completely get what you're saying, but also what about you're having a bad day or what the case is, and you open up your social media account or you just open up something in general, and then you realize how grateful you should be.
Yeah, but that's not the reality.
No,
you're right.
Yeah,
and that's
far and few.
That's like 2%.
Right.
I mean,
right,
I'm
right,
just throwing. That's probably not a real number, but the reality is we're shown what they want us to see and what we look at.
Right.
You know, that's why when people are like, I don't see any of that on my phone, and I'm like, you don't even gotta be social media. It can be your Google. Like you get on Google and you flip over, if you got an Android, Apple's probably got it too. It literally shows you what you want to see. It doesn't show you things you shouldn't see. It doesn't show you the negative things that are going on, you know, unless you really delve into it, you know, and that's what you really watch all the time, like me, and watch all this crazy shit. And like literally it's economy and taxes and everything else. And so like it shows you and gives you that dopamine hit and that instant gratification, which literally is, man, it's wreaked havoc on the workforce, on people, and our kids. And it's how do you, I don't even know how you break that.
How many times do we drive by the guys and we see the guys on their phone? It's sitting on their phone cup thing that they got going there, and they're sitting there and you just see them scrolling. They don't even see you. And granted, we have trucks that you clearly can't miss, but they are so focused on what is on their phone that they don't even see. Like, oh, my boss is right there. I should probably.
They don't even notice it, dude.
10 and 2 it up, and
I can literally, I'll hit them.
go the speed limit.
I'm like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
What? And I'm like,
just passed you, bro.
I just passed you, dude.
Me.
Like, get off your phone.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but that's where I think a lot of, you know, not just our kids, but we all do it. Like kids, people order stuff off Amazon, right?
Oh,
and
dude,
they're like,
the Amazon effect.
It's gonna, what? It's not going to be, it got delayed.
It's going to take 2 days.
Like yesterday, I know you weren't upset, but you're like, dang, dude, my freaking shoes got delayed on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, my shoes got delayed. You're bummed, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, you're looking at your phone. You're like, dude, I'm watching it. Just like my hat press. I'm like, oh, my hat press is coming.
Yeah.
It's burned into us now where it's like.
The Amazon effect.
And it's not even, dude, it makes you sad because you're like, you look forward to it so much. Whereas 20 years ago, dude, you couldn't track everything. Like it was like, oh yeah, I ordered this. It might be here in a week or it might be here in a month. I don't know. When it shows up on my front porch, it's here.
Right.
Or if I want to go buy it, I'm going to go to Best Buy and buy it, like which you can't even do now because they don't.
I remember. I mean, I guess I'm at that gray area, that threshold you were talking about. I remember when. Because, you know, I grew up getting raised by my grandparents. My mom and dad, they worked hard to try to provide a living for me, and that's where I get my work ethic from, is them as well. I mean, my grandparents were retired, so I got my work ethic from somewhere. So, and they both, I believe they both worked as hard as they could, but I remember going to the stores with my grandparents, and we had to order through the store and have them ship something to the store to pick it up. And you didn't know how long it was going to take. You didn't know. You had no essential receipt, no way to track it, no order number, nothing. You just go to the store. You're like, well, I seen this in the Kohl's catalog. Can you go ahead and order that in for me?
Okay, I got a better one for you. Me and Kenny, we got this one. There's actually a really good documentary about it. Everybody go watch it. It's about Kmart. Anyways,
Kmart, fire, layaway.
It's about Kmart, layaway, baby.
Layaway, baby.
Like,
I was there.
Like, that was like they invented layaway.
Yes.
They invented it. Kmart invented layaway. So it was like you went school shopping or whatever because your parents didn't have the money. And man, you just had to make that monthly payment on it, you know, $20. And by the, 20 weeks later, you were able to get your clothes for school.
Oh, yeah.
Like, could you imagine having to tell somebody, your child or even anybody, hey, yep, you can go ahead. You can't get it. Because think about it. We think about finance, right? That wasn't financing, dude. You did not get the product until it was paid for.
100%.
Now we have financing where it's like, man, Affirm, they're gonna go ahead and they're gonna give me that $600 for that new set of headlights, and I can make 24-month payments on it. Oh, okay. They don't even look at they paid for them twice because the interest rate.
Yep.
Or they're paying on them when they don't have it.
Yeah. And so like. That instant gratification, like people, it's ruined so much for so many.
I mean, cell phones.
Yes.
The price of cell phones.
Oh, dude.
Now. And I mean, the price of cell phones, we're talking about the younger generation growing up. Yeah, and you have a 24-month payment plan on it, and you can't upgrade your phone until you get it paid off,
They'll
or
let
you
drag
have to
them
pay
out
it
to
off.
36
Right,
now.
yeah, or you
It's
have
like
to
a
pay
camper.
it off. Like
But campers, I think you can actually finance to like 25 years or something. That's why you see people rolling around with like $150,000 campers. You can finance. I'm almost positive I know 10 for sure, but at one point you were able to take them out like 20, like 25.
I mean, all I'm saying is the market keeps going the way it is. I might find myself a nice camper.
You will. You
Yes.
will. You couldn't. They're struggling right now.
Well, and sell my house and
Live in a camper.
yeah, there you
Never
go.
sell your house.
No, I know. I know.
No,
But I mean, like that instant gratification, man, it has literally wreaked havoc on our whole society,
Yep.
business in a way, because, I want it now. I want the raise now. I want this. Well, but you didn't earn it yet. Yeah, but I'm going to earn it. You got to earn it, though. Can we make that happen first? Because
then when they earn that first raise, and they come to you for another raise, saying that they just
how many times have you seen me in that position where it's like, hey, dude,
Right.
I'm giving you this raise because you've been doing good, and I know you're going to keep doing good. I want to give it to you now, and then what happens? What happens? Then they just fall off, and then they don't. Then they actually get worse because I already gave them it, so there's nothing to work for, nothing to earn.
Right.
And that is that's not just young kids either, man.
Everybody.
This is everybody. Like people, when we talk about business owners and people like, I want to be a business owner, I implore you to do it. Because if you do it the right way and you genuinely want to be a great business owner, and you want to have financial security and wealth, I can promise you that if you do it the right way, it's going to be the hardest thing that you'll ever do in your life, because you have to literally be, you have to be so aggressively patient that there's days where you're like, fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm selling this place. I'm walking, because it's that hard. It's, and so people don't understand, especially from an employment side too. Like, man, the stuff that business owners go through, like current events with a business that we worked with, like, dude, it breaks my freaking heart, to hear shit like that. Cause I know how hard, that person or those people have worked, and to know they're going to be okay. But knowing that they got that, like, the owner has poured his heart and soul for 20 plus years, and's like, it lays in bed with the wrong kind of guys and wrong people, and like that's what happens. And it's like, fuck, because no one understands that but him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Employees don't understand that.
No, not at all.
His top guy, but no one else understands that.
Right.
They're just like, whatever. Who cares? He probably, no, dude. Like, it just, shit happens. It's a bad deal, and like, you learn, you live and you learn, and you work through it. But he could have just said, I'm done, I'm walking away, I'll be okay.
Wash his hands of it.
I'll sell all my assets right off into the sunset, because he could have.
Right.
Just
absolutely,
done,
you could have 100%.
and just been, but what's he doing? Nope. You're
Liquidating
not taking me
everything
out.
and making sure that his
I'm gonna
people are
make
taken
sure
care
my
of.
people and my businesses and my vendors and people that I work with,
Yep.
they're taken care of, because that's the American way, people. Fucking file bankruptcy,
America.
screw everybody.
Yep.
And that's what we're going to start seeing more and more of. And then that is a whole nother topic we could talk about with culture, because that ruins employees. It makes them never want to trust somebody again that they work for, especially small business.
Right.
You just come in someday and that door's locked, chain around it.
Don't
right?
give anybody a heads up.
Nothing. And you guys are going to see that. We're all going to see that. It's already happening. I mean, if you don't pay attention.
banks are closing, bro.
Dude, massive
We
banks.
can talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, people don't understand until it, the old saying, it doesn't affect you till it happens to you.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's like, that's when people, like, you need to take a step back and be grateful for what you have and where you're at. If you're in a really good position or work for a good company and have good people around you, because if you don't, you're going to be one of those people, because the chances are you're either you're going to be the first to get chopped on the block when 100%. They got to make cuts, or you're working for somebody that's going to put the chain around it, put a sign up.
Right.
And that's not a good feeling. I couldn't imagine being somebody. I couldn't imagine, Tesla, dude. Could you imagine that?
Dude, I know.
That would suck.
10,000 people.
Yep.
Have you watched any of the interviews of the employees?
Nope.
Bro.
I try to stay away from
There's
that.
one wild. Dude came there, I think he was there for 8 years, and well, not there because they were building it.
Oh, okay.
When he first started working there,
At Tesla,
he lived in his Tesla, not just him, multiple people living in his Tesla, sleeping in the parking lot, right? Mm-hmm. And gave his lifeblood to it, right? But here's the thing. It's not a bad thing. It is, but it isn't. People look at Elon Musk like, yeah, bullshit. Dude, this is what happens, though. This is what people don't understand from an economy standpoint. And as a business owner, yes, people are like, he's a billionaire. On paper, he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
On paper, understand that. But at the end of the day, that dude, go look. If you look back in history of his interviews and things, and you can find other interviews of employees when they were building Texas, dude.
Yeah.
That dude slept in the factory under his desk in the middle of the factory for over a year. That's a fact. You can fact check me on that. That's fact. And in it, why? You know why? Because he knew that he needed to be there to show them that, hey, I'm here too. We need to get this place built, and whatever, I'm here. And that's one small, minute thing, but it sucks because those 10,000 employees that had to get laid off, well, why did they? Well, circle around. A culmination of things. It is because of employment. Mm-hmm. It is because of inflation. It is because of all these things. But that doesn't mean that Elon's a bad person for that.
He can't control it. In a way, he can't.
It goes to how many people said how good of Tesla was as a company until a month ago when they laid off 10,000 people.
Right.
Every single one of them.
Right.
Because he had to make that call. Mm-hmm. Who else? How, when these unions, the UAW, what was it back in 23 when they laid off, I don't know how many thousands of people.
Yeah, I remember.
Because it's union. Mm-hmm. But God forbid, it's a one guy that owns, and people neglect that, and it circles around to what we were talking about of the person that we know.
Yep.
Like, you don't understand what people go through and what business owners. So, when you work for somebody good, just because he made a call and a hard call or things didn't work out as planned, that doesn't make him a bad business owner. That doesn't make him a bad person. Hey, we had to figure something out, because the old saying is sometimes you have to sacrifice the few for the many.
Right.
Like, there's got to be somebody's got to be the lamb. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Somebody's got to take the hit, or else millions of people, or thousands, hundreds of thousands, Yeah. And that's what we're seeing more and more of. But, you work for a good company, you just have to kind of keep your eye on that and know that, like, just because that happened doesn't always mean that it was bad. I mean, they're getting massive severance packages too. So, or whatever. Severance packages. Is that what they call them when you get fired? I thought that's. Yeah. They're getting massive severance packages. But like that guy, he's like put his heart blood into it, and he genuinely didn't have anything bad to say. It was just more of like, dude, I gave 8 years. And then the worst part about it was, though, I think, is that they went to work and they tried to badge in, and denied. They just so they got an email. Well, here's the thing: they got an email the night before, literally the night before. I think it was at like 10:30, night before, and at all the employees that were getting laid off. So they all thought it was fake. They had no idea, because I almost guarantee you that it was like an overnight decision. It was probably like, hey, here's where we're at. This is what's happening. If we don't do this, we're toast. And they're like, shit. So what did they do? They probably picked the lowest 10,000 on the totem pole, which partially they did, partially didn't, because they took away the whole Tesla charging department, which doesn't make sense. But they had to do it. And they just sent that email out. And then they all went in, every one of them, like, they went and tried to badge in, and they're like, beep, beep, not getting in.
Denied.
Yep. So, like, that's one thing I would say that, like, pretty fucked up, but for the most part, like, they did the right thing. They did the best they could, and they've built a culture there with the company, and Tesla and SpaceX and all this. Like, they're a loyal company,
right.
And we still, though, that I'm trying to build this all into, like, becomes entitlement too, because as a business owner, it is your responsibility to tell your employees that, hey, I'm going to take care of you. You're here to do a job. I'm here to do a job. Right. And if we work as a team, we're all going to prosper and grow. Well, you can't control the economy. I can't control the economy. No one can control economically what's going to happen, and so when those things happen, that's when it sucks, because you get a bad rap. And
well, the thing is like all these bigger companies think that they're untouchable, bro.
Absolutely.
And it's like, and we even talk about it. It's like, dude, this is it's hard being a small business, dude. It's hard just being a company in general. I mean, because you see these bigger companies like Tesla that have to make these layoffs, and it's like, who's next?
Well, Google, and then everybody.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Everybody makes an example out of them.
Right.
They're like, look, and it's like,
it's happening everywhere.
It's happening everywhere. You don't think small businesses are laying people off? They are.
Right.
How come you're not? It's the old pitchfork.
Yes.
Let's jump on the pitch. The whole town's going down with fire and pitchforks. And like, I don't understand. I do, because it's politics, but it's frustrating because you would think that me being a small business owner, I'd be like, frickin' big. No, because I understand how it works at a very, very small scale. So I can't even fathom on that scale. Like, how do you stomach that? Mm-hmm. How do you stomach knowing that you don't have a choice, dude? He could, whether it was Tesla or Facebook or Google or Chevy or Ford, dude, whoever has to make that call, I don't care how cold-blooded you are. I don't care. At some core of you as a human being, you want to throw up, knowing that you are about to wreck hundreds of thousands of people's lives, and not because you want to, because you don't have a choice.
Because you're going to wreck all the rest if you don't pull.
Yeah,
if you don't pull the plug.
Everything.
Yeah.
You won't save nobody.
Right.
Everybody
The
dies.
few for the many.
And so I wish people would think about that a little more, when it comes to, business and where they work too, is like, sometimes, man, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. And sometimes you got to make calls that you don't want to make, or that have to be made, because if you don't, you lose everything.
Right.
And if you lose everything, then everybody suffers, and nobody wants that. Yeah. I mean, there's selfish people that do, but I'm not one of them, so I don't have to worry about that. But
I mean, it comes back, once again, tying it all back in, it comes back to the workplace culture, who you work for, what the leadership's like at your workplace. And then, that's what makes a company, I feel like. And that's what makes, regardless if you're a small business.
So you're telling me that if I just came here in a 3-piece suit every day, tooting and booting, and I'm just barking orders, big dogging it.
Yep. 100%.
You be gone?
I'd be gone.
Because of the suit?
100% because of the suit, because you are not a suit guy.
What if I came in with a top hat?
Oh, dude, what do you mean top hat? Like Abe Lincoln or like a fedora, bro? Because
I'm talking a top hat like Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, bro,
Mayor Humdinger.
Respect.
Perfect. Yeah, like respect. Just came in here, like big dogging it.
Yeah. No, but I think you have worked for other people before in your life when you were younger, a young lad. And I think you would kind of attest to that, though, too. Even in the,
dude. Yeah.
Workplace culture is everything. I mean, when you work down at that speed shop in Arizona.
I would sacrifice. I do, and I would, and will. I would sacrifice any financial freedom, any wealth, anything, to know that whatever I'm doing and whatever businesses that I do own, that the culture and the people want to be there.
Right, 100%.
I know that I'm capable of making money, but what I know, and I can do that very easily, but what I know I'm not really good at, and I'm never going to be really good at it because it takes working at it, is building companies with a culture.
Right.
Like, that's what fills my bucket. And the majority of people that know me, if they know me well enough, which there's not a lot of you, but there are, they know that that's how I'm wired, because there's so many things I could do differently on a daily, or even I could have done. And I chose this path because it's what I love and what I enjoy. Mm-hmm. I love the culture of a company and the camaraderie and building things and watching people build things, building their own lives.
Right.
It's tough at times because it's slow when you do it that way, but the rewards when you're older and that work you put in, dude, you can't beat that. You cannot ever beat the feeling of an accomplishment that you actually earned and worked for.
100%.
Like, I can't preface that. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if you're literally building a sandcastle. If you spent 10 years learning how to build the best sandcastles, when you win a sandcastle competition, that feeling is what I get doing what I do every day.
Right.
And then there's days where I'm like, man, I built a shitty sandcastle and someone kicked it over. Now I'm pissed. And that happens too.
I felt like that's what was going to happen today, but we recovered.
We recovered. Someone kicked the shit out of my sandcastle, but
it was a lot stronger than you thought, so it was all good.
Yeah.
That sandcastle you built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what people need to really understand.
Right.
You know, like that. You get involved in anything like that, and you find your why, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You find
100%.
your why. Money can only take you so far.
Yeah, I know. And then you run out of it. So what else do you have?
But the grit and gratitude that we built this podcast, and even I would say a lot of us live it and think about it religiously every time we walk into this office, is the fact of it is if you have it and you implement it, it's not every day. You're not going to.
No.
That's not humanly possible. And if anybody tells you that, they're full of shit.
It is.
Yeah, no, it's not. I know a lot of people.
My eyes are brown too, so that tells you what's up.
But like, there's a lot of people like, I'm grateful every day, and I'll work my ass up. No, you don't. You're a human being. You're human.
So you're not grateful every day?
No, I'm not. There's days that I lose sight of it. I wouldn't. I'm not.
No,
gonna
yeah,
lie.
I know. But you have your 1 o'clock alarm on your phone.
But yeah, every day, dude. Yes,
Remind yourself.
I do. Yes. I would say yes, I am grateful, but
You have to remind
I
yourself to
I
be
have
grateful.
to remind myself. Whereas,
Right.
if you ask me, are you just grateful every day? Absolutely not. But when that 1 o'clock goes off, immediately
You remind yourself.
I know if it's in my pocket, I'm like, stop, and I got to tell myself one thing I got to be grateful for. It doesn't matter what it is.
So let's bring it up right now because I think we're right at about the 1 o'clock hour.
It's 1 o'clock. So
It's 1 o'clock. So
it's
give me
1
something you're
o'clock.
grateful for.
Well, it's almost 1. I would tell you that after having the day the couple days that I've had, I am just grateful to be able to have the people around me that I have that genuinely see my vision, but support me, and not just my business, but support me as a human being, support me as a Wade, and you see me, people see me.
Right.
That's what I'm grateful for today, because I don't always feel that. I don't always feel that the people closest to me see me. And today is a day that I feel like people see me.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm grateful for.
I'm not being a smartass. I see you every day, dog.
No, I know you
I
do.
see you every day. Kendrick and I see you every day, bro.
I know you do,
For
but
real,
there's
yeah.
days where I don't see it. So,
I know.
and it's not that I don't see you guys; it's that I don't see it myself.
I get it.
Because it's part of life and going through the struggles of.
Some days you have your blinders on.
Some days I got to.
We call them the blinders.
No, it's like them things that horses wear when they don't want to see you don't want to see the other horse.
Yeah.
When they're racing, because they're like, oh shit, he's coming up on me.
Yep. All right, Kenny, you're up. Come on, batter up.
Batter up, swing.
Give me a good one, dude. You better not give me some foo-foo bullshit either.
I'm grateful to be alive.
No, that ain't gonna cut it, dude. I need some sincerity in whichever you're about to say. I want you to really think about it.
All right. Well, I'm grateful for a lot of things, and it's going to be the same thing to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying about not being able to be grateful every day. Grateful I get to come and spend time with you guys and build this up every day, and just that I'm here, man. I mean, it sounds stupid, but
no, it don't. The gift the gift and the gratitude of being alive and being able to share this experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's a man of few words, but they're good.
I think
good words.
I'll piggyback off of that just because of the weekend that's coming up. You guys know it's pretty rough on me. So 100%, that's what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for life, but on a different aspect, because I have some buddies that lost their life too soon, unexpectedly as well. So it's one of those things to where I'm grateful, to be here today, because tomorrow is never promised. And I think we all truly kind of live by that. And think about that every day. It's like, we don't like it when, you go ask someone, how's your day going? Well, I'm here. You're right. You are here. And you should be grateful for that, because, some people don't get to say that. And when you get those phone calls, hey, dude, such and such isn't here anymore. It's one of those things where it hits you, and it's just like, well, it could have been me.
Absolutely.
Could have been one of my, very, very close friends. One of them was very close to me. And it's one of those things to where I'd piggyback off that 100%. And I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for life, grateful for shelter because of the unfortunate events that we've had take place a lot recently. So that's one of those things to where
We've been seeing a lot of entitlement from that too. People get mad.
Oh,
'cause you
100%.
can't get to, well, we're helping people that are less fortunate.
Exactly.
They don't have a home, or literally, I know we do garage doors. Well, if their house isn't secured, people come in and steal all their stuff.
Exactly.
You know.
So I think I think that was a good one to touch on, is just being grateful for on days like today, and, you know, days like tomorrow, throughout the weekend, everybody goes out on their boats, you know, smokes and jokes and drinks some beer and, you know, have a good time. I was going to try to catch some fairways this weekend, so we'll see if that happens. But yeah, definitely one of those things to where I'm grateful for the people I've surrounded myself with. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for life, and grateful to have a future, or at least be able to have my sight on a future. So that's what I got for you.
Sight on the future.
Yeah.
That's it, everybody. If this doesn't get posted before the weekend, Memorial Day weekend, we'll see you after this weekend. Be good. Don't get in trouble. And don't forget about America.